Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. That sounded
I hope
like
that didn't throw it off. I think I was a millimeter early.
It was cool. It was like a there's a hip hop producer who makes beats like that, like where the beat is just a little off. It's like
have these ugly cameras.
Yeah.
As well.
I wonder who it is. Oh yeah.
Jay Dilla. He
Oh
died.
my gosh, man. R.I.P.
Yes.
Are we rolling?
Nice. Yeah, we're rolling.
We'll start on Jay Dilla. I mean,
Let's do
my film career kind of started in Detroit, actually. I don't think we've
Oh
talked about
snap!
any of
Look
that,
at what
so-
we stumbled into.
Yeah, so
Dope.
they've got a Dilla's Donuts now. His family opened,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, I've got a lot of friends in the music scene in Detroit.
Wow.
And a lot of the crew on the Wilderness film is
Yeah.
Michigan based. I went to college out there,
Did you?
so that's kind of where I started making films
Wow.
and made short films, and was able to. No, we're just jumping right into it. I love it.
Yeah.
Scratched together a little feature film with a crew of people that we'd been making films together with for a while, and it's called Time Now. Is the first film that I released, and that kind of led to the Wilderness. So
Did it?
it got into a solid festival and got distribution, and then the Wilderness happened, and a lot of the same crew we grew together, and they came out to Utah, a bunch of Detroit boys
Amazing.
and girls, and
Wow, Dilla just jumped in here to our thing to go represent Detroit for a second.
that's pretty cool.
You know? That
That's
is
pretty
cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
To
yeah.
start this thing off, I mean, we literally just stumbled right in.
Yeah,
you
one
know?
of the great producers.
Absolutely, and that clap that we did was just a Dilla clap. It was like
Yeah.
just staggering. It's
Yeah.
like a little early and a little late at the same time. It's
Yeah.
just brap, you know?
You could say that about his career, even. You know, and how
Spencer!
he's grown.
That's great, man.
Yeah, the
a little
legacy.
early and a
has
little
gr-
late.
Yeah, that's cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in this really rare situation here where your mom was the last guest,
Yes. Yeah.
and we talked about you momentarily, but it
Okay.
did bend a page in my mind
Okay.
about meeting you at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased to, within a very short amount of time, have that come about and come about organically.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
and you've referred a couple times to The Wilderness, which is your film. I would just want to say at the start here, it's coming out in a couple weeks.
Yep.
What's the release date? It's the 17th?
October 17th. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. And we're going to talk about that movie for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
But I want to ask you about your life. I thought, I want to first and foremost my thought was to ask you, when did you first know that you wanted to be a director? But I thought, well, that would just lead me to ask, what's your life been like to want to
Yeah.
be a director at some point, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you feel like talking about your
Totally.
life for a minute to give people a background.
Definitely. Yeah. So, well, I'm happy to be here, Jaymee, and my mom, who I'm about to mention, speaks very highly of you.
Right on.
And I'm happy that we got put together, and it's always a pleasure to come out to beautiful Ojai. And yeah, so my mom is a documentary filmmaker. She started as a journalist, and I saw her career kind of forming. She started a little bit later. She started when I was 7 or 8, so I kind of saw her rise and her grind and what she had to put through.
So when you say 7 or 8, is that when the first film was made, or was that when she was
Yeah.
doing the sort of producing bits for TV?
No, that was, so I guess Deliver Us from Evil came out when I was a little older, actually, 11 or 12.
Oh, okay.
I think it was 2000. No, I'm sorry, 10.
Okay.
2007. So
Wait, no, Deliver Us from Evil came out in 2004.
I think it's 06, and
06?
then it
Oh,
got
okay.
nominated for the Oscar in 07.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
okay.
that Oscars. There's the
Get my times
The
up.
Departed.
Whoa.
A lot of good movies were that year.
That's the year he won, right?
Scorsese
Yeah.
won for that. Al Gore won for Inconvenient Truth.
Wow. And
Or I guess-
the story in the last podcast is that you were sitting next to him and he was talking to you about your shoes. What can you tell us about that?
I can't remember it.
That's a mom story.
I've heard it. I'm sure it's grown in the years, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, man. So my
You're in the
dad.
heart of Hollywood at that moment. I mean, that's crazy for being.
I
How
know.
old were you? 10.
10. Yeah. No, it was cool, you know, and
Was
we're hoping that she gets back this year. She hasn't been back since then, and the It's Never Over Jeff Buckley film is just amazing, you know. So we hope that gets nominated.
Absolutely.
But yes, seeing her definitely gave me a element of confidence that I could do it, you know, maybe irrational confidence, and also 100% a leg up in certain ways, you know. And my dad was a guitarist and a songwriter in a LA punk band in the late 80s called Mary's Danish.
Yeah. I grew up knowing all about them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I brought them up in the last episode randomly, having no idea.
You're kidding.
That your father was in that group, and yeah, I have a link to that group, and I brought them up as like an early LA, you know, post-punk kind of band, you know.
Yeah.
I pulled them out as a reference. She's like, I can't believe you just said that.
Wow. Yeah.
So I kind of stumbled in
Yeah.
to knowing about your father in this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I would be more shocked, actually, as you're saying that, I remembered that my mom said, you knew my dad, or
okay.
you knew Mary's Danish.
Right,
so
right.
if I had just found that out, I would be like mind blown. But yeah, I didn't know it happened randomly though.
Yeah,
That's crazy. But yeah, so I think my form of the direction as a filmmaker I've taken as a screenwriter and director is kind of a combination of my dad, who's a songwriter, and my mom, who's a director. And
dude, that's so cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so
nice tribute.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, man.
And you're like, I mean, that's the writer director is the great, like, it's the most respected thing within the field. You know, you're Paul Thomas Anderson's, you're Quentin Tarantino's. You know.
Yeah.
Writer director is a highly estimable designation.
Yeah, man. I definitely, as a young aspiring filmmaker, you know, I craved that credit, you know, and you see PTA, and it's you know, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, and Tarantino, of course, too, like you said. And yeah, no, and
who are the other ones that you like?
I loved a filmmaker, Jeff Nichols.
Right.
Yeah, he was a guy that when I was like probably 14, I saw Take Shelter, and he's a great director.
You a John Hughes person?
Yeah. So I definitely wanted that, and I think that you got to work the muscles as a writer. You know, it's a hard thing to write, and
yeah. Well, how do you hack into that process, like at a young early age? Like, how's it beginning?
Well, you kind of I would you know, have to get myself into the headspace, and I used to be a little bit easier, I'd say. And I've heard this before from writers. It's like at the infancy of their writing, it's just like they like can write for 12 hours straight, you know. And like I feel like in college I'd just write, you know, but yeah, now it's like I really it's project by project, you know. So some projects I have to really dial in scene by scene, you know, and know exactly where I'm going, or I, you know, risk getting lost in the process. And then other projects, you know, you kind of let it flow. And it's, you know, sometimes you work on something that you're drawing from life experiences, and then sometimes you're just creating, you know. And there's something freeing about creating, and then there's something safe about, you know, life experiences. So you kind of just like you find that middle ground. But
would you say, just briefly to touch into the wilderness, that part of it is autobiographical?
Yeah, well, there definitely are a lot of life experiences that were put into this film, and
I mean, the mother looks like Amy to me. Like it was.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely drew from a lot, and then I would say it's like everything in it is fictionalized,
right,
and everything in it has a touch of truth in it, you know.
Nice.
So I think there was a time where I wrote like my story, and then I started to add to it, and then I ran into walls where I'm like, wait, that didn't happen, you know. And then I was like, had to kind of like figure out, what do I want to tell my story? Do I want to tell a story that is inspired by things that happened in my life and with other people's lives and stuff? And
Right.
and yeah, so there's a touch of reality in all of it, and I think that that there's also a touch of other people's lives that's in it.
How do you how are you with trusting people? Like with your innermost. I mean, that question that you asked yourself a second ago, you're like, I have to figure out, do I want to tell my story?
Yeah.
Or do I want to tell something that's fictionalized? So is there when it comes to the world knowing your particular story, do you feel like it's in safe hands these days?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like there's definitely a desperation from a filmmaker to like get something made, man. And it's like, if you've been through something, it's like, put it down, like you're gonna make the best film you can if you like put yourself into it, and then there's like the consequences of that,
Right.
which like we're about to find out.
Right.
Because I feel like I always kind of am someone that's like shied away from getting like people like feeling bad for me and certain things, and oh, it's all good, and so it's like I definitely have used art to like put myself into it, and then it's a good question though. Like, I mean,
the world is craving like connection and authentic stories, and, and documentaries have never been bigger.
Totally.
It's like a legit, it's a lot of people go towards documentaries more than even dramas these days, which is like a big swing.
For sure, yeah.
So, you have that on one end. There's people who are really wanting to know the stories that really happen.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the world doesn't feel very like responsible hands to put every story in, especially one that you're still working out,
Totally. That's a good question. I mean, I think that you trust the people in your life, and you follow the path that you're on, and you kind of be okay with. Yeah,
I mean, you're taking swings, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
totally.
taking swings right now. You're coming in very strong with this film. I mean, this is a big swing, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're an artist.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
it's very evident in the film. I encourage everybody to see it. It's certainly specific subject matter that's going to mean something to a huge demographic of people who have gone to these wilderness teen. What's a way of saying?
Yeah, so it's like the wilderness therapy camps,
right.
And then there's the therapeutic boarding schools, and in connection, there's like an industry that's been dubbed unofficially the troubled teen industry.
Right.
So yeah, and we've been reaching out to people that have gone through this and have kind of built platforms based on their experiences, and
why that would even be relevant to do so is because there's been a lot of abuses of power,
and
a lot of abuse, period.
Yeah, totally.
And not to say
totally.
Completely, and not to say everyone involved, but there's been an alarming number of people who have been abused.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, what can happen wrong? Take some adults and some kids out to the wilderness away from everything, and it's like you're really putting the trust into the minds of the people who are running this thing, who can account for for a mind, but the desperation of the parents seemingly or whatever their story is in their head about why their kid needs to go away, like adds just whatever, we'll just let them handle it kind of thing, and
well, and it's a perfect storm of parents that are so desperate because there's such a difficult situation with their kids, mixed with like a sell on what these programs are going to be like,
Right.
and like, you know, kids that you know, wind up there and have had a, you know, a path that that has, so it's really difficult. And I think though, to go back to your question before of like why trust the world, something I've been learning very quickly, because of I've been reached out to by a lot of people that have been through these programs, and they've said how thankful they are that this story will be told, and even without seeing the film yet, you know, maybe there will be a backlash, you know.
Maybe. It feels very accurate. I mean,
but I do think that the answer to that question is, you know, let it go. And like I hope that some people will resonate with their story through this, and I think that's worth any, you know, because I've been grateful enough to be in a position where I could tell this story. So
that's a great attitude. I mean, what scares you about the industry?
Or the
like entering in, you know, it's a big entry, and you come from, you know, an esteemed film director lineage and songwriter's lineage, and you know, so what at this stage, you coming in at this particular window, knowing some of the history of Hollywood and maybe its more golden era, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson coming up in the 90s and it looking different then, like, what do you count on, and what are you afraid of moving into this thing?
Well, I mean, I love making films, so I look forward to that, man, and I'm grateful for just the opportunity to made a couple films at this point in my career, and I definitely see these other filmmakers that were in a time where it seems like people were definitely seeking out film on a wider scale 15, 20 years ago, and obviously before that. So you know, I think we're at a point in the film industry where you have to get people's attention. You know, you have to like convince them to go see a movie sometimes. The average person, you know, I think that less people are casual film goers than maybe back when I was a kid.
Right. You know what's positive about that is, you know, maybe you would get big ticket sales back in the day because everybody would take a swing on a movie because there weren't as many options. Yeah. But you wouldn't always walk away with a fan of that particular director, actors, whoever was involved. But you would get sales. In this case, where it's like you have to convince people, you're going to find your audience a lot quicker and know who they are with all the options that there are out there in the world.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Totally.
Which is a unique thing about this time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, though, that people want to go see films that are like subject matters that they already cared about. So like we have a little bit of an audience with people that went through these programs, you know, like the Jeff Buckley film has a big audience of people like that. I think that Paul Thomas Anderson already has his fans that will go see his movie without a trailer and without knowing anything about it, because they've, you know, there's a ton of people that will go towards that, you know. Trust. I think that the barrier to probably gaining that trust is a little bit higher at this point, but I think that there's an interesting opportunity. I don't want to be all doom and gloom. For my whole life, the people talking about the film industry, it's been doom and gloom. And it's like, so there's also an element of me, it's like, do I even buy that? You know, because it's like people have always been talking about how the industry's in peril. I mean, maybe it just has been my whole life, but
no.
I know that there was a time in the film industry in like the late 60s where a lot of studio heads retired, and people took over these studios that were younger and gave a lot of trust to filmmakers and didn't nitpick the direction of everything. And a lot of filmmakers like Coppola and Scorsese came up and were just kind of given freedom to go make these movies that maybe wouldn't have been able to get made 5 years before then. like Apocalypse Now,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that we might be, from a positive perspective, we could be entering that type of era again.
Nice.
Where the studios have kind of suffered in certain ways.
Right.
Some are massively successful. We're coming off of like the Marvel era of things, you
Right.
know, and
Depends on what you categorize success as.
totally.
You know, there's the financial success certainly with the Marvel thing, but
Yeah.
like you know, but then you have critics like Scorsese saying like, "Hey, that's not cinema." You know?
Yeah,
You know?
totally,
And
totally.
So cinema is like another
Yeah.
thing. It's
Yeah, and I won't, you know, I don't want to put down any Marvel stuff, and I've got a ton
No,
of friends who are like, you know, super big fans of that. I do know that that era, I think, is returning to being more of a niche, and I think that on a big blockbuster scale, they are searching for what, you know, what's next. And I think a movie like One Battle After Another, the new PTA movie,
you saw it.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna see it this week. But
I'm
I
excited
think,
for you.
yeah. I was sick all last week, so I was gonna go see it with some friends, but
To live that movie again from the beginning would be like.
yeah, I'm gonna go see it
I'd pay
in.
to do that.
I'm gonna go see it in VistaVision because
Oh,
they've
man.
got it in LA on. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that it having some success is gonna be really good for the film industry.
Right,
You know,
I agree.
so.
Hmm.
So yeah, you know, and there's still these directors, like when Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, I remember that it was like everyone went and saw that movie.
Yeah.
You know, the Barbie Oppenheimer thing,
True.
like it's like, you know, it's these directors, these films that it feels like there's a little bit of a, I would say, so where do we start? Excitement for the film industry? I think there's more, you know, hopefully event films to be, there's room for those, you know,
Right,
and
right.
you know, I don't know if The Wilderness will be one of those, but I mean, I'm excited to be. It's fun to be in the industry, and people that are in this industry, you got to be crazy to do it, man.
I
It's
bet.
not the easiest thing. So you probably are pretty passionate about what you're doing,
Yeah.
if you're doing it. So
Right.
that's something I love about the film industry and being around movie people.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Paul you completely remind me of Paul Thomas Anderson. You know, like I watch, I nerd out on industry shit. I mean, the people that
Yeah.
I love,
Yeah.
I'll watch, you know, hours of the making of whatever they release of
Yeah.
making of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. Like there's a really nice one for Magnolia,
Okay.
where it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and then
Yeah.
even after that to where like
The
he's
making
going,
of the frogs.
or the premiere. Yeah, totally. Or then him going to the premiere,
Yeah.
and it shows him in the car and the conversations that he's having before walking into the premiere, and you see
Yeah.
how they're like, you know, how they're viewing it before they hit the red carpet and jump out of the limo. Okay, here we go. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it's like
that's
you're
cool.
jumping out of a chute, you know, or I
Yeah.
mean, jumping out of a plane with a
Yeah.
parachute. I watch that stuff
Totally, yeah.
like crazy, you know, because I want to study whenever there's great artists. And anyway, so you just remind me of him.
Oh, well,
Also, your
thank you.
disposition is even like him.
Well, I probably studied him a lot when I was younger, you know, so
Yeah, but that could make you kind of look like him. And then also, not everybody who's a Paul Thomas Anderson fan can shoot like him. And in this film, which maybe I'll just start to talk about now,
Okay.
with The Wilderness, since we've been
okay.
flirting with it anyway, is the cinematography is just it's remarkable. You know, it's beautiful and deep, and the colors, I just don't even know how you know, there's a particular scene when it's at dusk and everything is kind of blue, but the fire is illuminating their faces red.
Yeah.
You know, and it's done so well. It's like you've been doing it forever. You know, and that's just an expert scene. That's like, how does
Yeah.
a kid come out first film and have a scene like that? But this is just one of many scenes in this movie that is just cinematographically.
Yeah.
I'm making up words.
I like it.
Cinematographically.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, credit to Sean Mouton, our DP, who's just amazing. We did our our first film we did together, Time Now, that Detroit one. And he came out to Utah, and we worked really hard on that. And we
how do you begin to make a movie like this? Like, where does it start conceptually, and then how do you, there's so many layers to a film, and you're talking about loving the whole process, so where do you begin?
Not saying I love the whole process.
Oh, no. Well, it seems like you love being a filmmaker is what I mean, you know?
Yeah, well, so actually, like, kicking into production, and that means pre-production, that means like, hey, it's becoming at least clear enough. Well, listen, don't even think about it being clear. As if you're going to be making the movie, when you start working towards it and like you get out of that like, can it get made mindset, it's so fun, man. And
nice.
Sean and I, we've got a great repertoire, and we plan out all our shots together, and we have a low budget filmmaking mindset. Time Now, the film we made in Detroit, we did it for $50,000, and it was, a feature length film, and we didn't have the ability. It was a 3-week shoot, and we didn't have the ability to like overshoot it, so we had to edit that thing before we got in the on set. So we planned out every shot. We knew how we were gonna, the options for the edit were gonna be, and we did a very similar thing with The Wilderness, and he came out for about a month before that shoot, and we went to every location, and that's some of the most fun stuff, is just going out there.
The pre-stuff, huh?
Yeah, because it's like the world is your oyster,
Right.
How are we gonna do this? You're actually creating something. It's starting to feel real. It's like paper, and then you're like, and it looks intimidating when you have an 100-page script, but then you're like, go to a location, you're like, we've got a 1-page scene here. What are we gonna do? And you're like, okay, what did we do in the scene before? What are we gonna do afterwards? How does it flow together? And it's that stuff I find really fun.
How do you maintain your sanity while in that process, balancing as many jobs as there are to do? What's an ongoing practice for your sanity? Is it, some people just say coffee, but other people have deeper things. Like, how do you? Well,
definitely.
That's a lot of responsibility for any human being.
Yeah, and definitely I was fortunate to have really passionate people that were a part of the project, and talented people.
Your mother's a producer.
Yeah, totally.
Aaron Paul's a producer, right?
Yes.
And then there's a host of other producers.
Yeah, and down to the people on set, our AD and our line producer, Jenny Morris, our AD, Larissa Beck, line producer and producer, but she acted as the line producer on set. Helena Ball, UPM. We just had people that came out early, and we drilled it. For me, in my head, it's you got to drill it.
Yeah.
It's like, how many times can you walk a set? And when we shoot a film like that, we shot it on location out in the desert in Utah. Like, it's not as simple as you pull the trucks up here. We got to go there. We got to spend time out there, and our AD and her team need to figure out how they're going to get everything there. Me and Sean got to figure out, is what's in our mind possible? We cannot leave it to that day, so for my sanity, just like very much preparation, and I had the luxury of a lot of preparation for the Wilderness film, and the people that we rented the ranch from, it was summer camp, man. We were just out there. We had 50 people in cabins, made a film out in the wilderness, and the ranch that we stayed at, the owners of it put me up for a couple months before the shoot. I was out there for 6 months, man.
Nice.
And they became passionate about it on their own, and so they gave us the luxury of having some time and space out there.
How do you come up with that we're going to do this subject matter, and then it involves addiction, abuse, and also through the process of these camps, it's like there are some things that you learn and you walk away with, like how to start a fire, and there's positive things that come from these things. So
totally, yeah.
So I mean, this is a very complex subject matter, and I'm thinking also you directing another male who's like a star, and who's a young star, and how to direct somebody to bring out their most vulnerable qualities, and also like quiet rage, and all that stuff. Like how
yeah.
do you feel that process in developing relationship with your actors is a natural thing that comes to you of empathetically connecting, or what's your process working with people
Yeah,
at their best?
so I think it goes down to, and every director is different, man. I do think
Sure.
that, like a filmmakers like the Coen brothers are very much, from what I've heard, maybe they'll hear this and they'll say that's not true, but I've heard it's very script to screen. Every cough that's in the script goes to screen.
Right.
As
it on the page.
It's got it on the page. I don't put myself in that world with the Coen brothers of like even having that skill set. I try to empower people. So with actors, with crew, with department heads, it's like, hey, I've got an idea. If you've got a better one, let's go with it. And with the actors, we got really close. We actually, with the boys, we got a wilderness expert and took us out on a backpacking trip. But we did a week of prep, and we did a backpacking trip, and he taught them how to spindle and create fire, and we just bonded.
Nice.
And
Wow.
I'd say that that, and on the other film I did, it was on Nichols, which is coming out next year. It was a very similar experience where I just tried to get as close as I could with the actors, and then allow them to feel confident enough to bring something to it. And I think they all did. I know they all did, and this film was definitely better for every idea that didn't come from me. That goes to all the department heads. And
did you have an indelible experience in your wilderness thing? Was it kind of one of those things that was like a let's just say influential from there?
Mean the with the actors?
Your own experience in wilderness camp when you were young.
Yeah.
Like what's all that like?
Oh, I mean, it was crazy, man. It was difficult.
Was yours how it's depicted in the movie? Because
without getting into too much,
right?
Without like, pinning myself into like a this happened type of thing. I'll say that I wish I came out of it with more skills. I think that the idea of wilderness therapy, just those two words together, makes sense.
Sure.
Wilderness therapy. It's
Absolutely.
like, dude, like the wilderness is therapy, man.
Right.
It's like, even for me, like the wilderness is therapy. Like I go to the mountains when I need to clear my head, and
Nice.
but I didn't have that experience out there. I was in a program that I think there was corruption in it, and there was it's just the I think that it's an industry that on the surface is amazing, and
like
conceptually, and I know of programs that are good.
Right.
I know people who are a part of these things,
Yeah.
but there's far too much, like you were saying earlier, the freedom that some of these programs have where kids, it's a system, it's like people, I know a lot of people that were there from 14 to 18, and their parents are in a tough position, and they send them there, and they only plan on having them be there for a couple months, and then, hey, he's acting out, he needs to be here longer. Hey, we've got an idea of this boarding school, this therapeutic boarding school. We think it would be great for aftercare for him. Little do you know, it's the same people who own them,
Right.
and like this, and people that kind of get stuck in the system, and then it fragments relationships between the kids and their parents, and it just, I think there's a lot of stories like that, and people, it's like.
Were you pissed about having to go?
Yeah, I mean, you get kidnapped from your bed at night, and then
That happened to you.
Can't confirm or deny.
Oh, what's that? Yeah, perfect. Just do that anytime it's yes.
Can I plead the fifth with you? I don't know. Yeah, man, I got taken from my bed, and like you go out there and it's like a blink of an eye, and I wasn't an angel, man. Still not.
But not kidnappable.
I guess anyone's kidnappable. No, that sounds really weird.
No. Hey, man, you survived it, and I think you should be able to use the term lightly.
No, I was pissed, man, and I remembered the idea of like when I was out there, just the idea of coming back. It was so weird. It's just like this is something I remember from being out there. I don't remember a ton like day to day and stuff. I mean, I do, but like it's not. I don't think I could like. There's certain memories that you're like, I could be there right now. I don't feel that way about it. Maybe there's certain things I've like, maybe now that I've made a film about it, that's my memory of it. It's like, which I think is the goal of doing that, pretty cathartic if I can plant that on top of there. But I remember the idea of just it when I got home, I'll just be so happy. Like that word happy was in my mind. And then you get home and man, you adjust to it, like human beings, like we're adaptable, man. But I remember it was this thing of just like, I mean, it's basically like you're somewhere where you can't go home on your own volition. That's a tough thing.
At least it didn't ruin the wilderness for you. That's still your refuge, and it's where it sounds like you get therapy still. So it didn't fuck with that.
Yeah. I just wish we didn't green screen the whole film. I could have.
There's no way you could. I mean, maybe at some point, but this is just, it's cinematically epic. It is an epic, beautiful film. And
thank you.
What's the star's name?
Hunter Doohan.
Hunter, Hunter's incredible. I mean, obviously, Wednesday's a little out of my age range, so I don't watch that show. And I know that he's a star of that show, right? He's
one of the stars of that show, and he's an amazing actor, and he's a producer on the film too, and a lot of the actors were friends of his and came from him, and he's an amazing collaborator, and it was just working with him was a dream, and I think that as the lead actor in a film, you kind of set the standard of, like, in a similar way that I think the director sets the standard for a crew. It's like if the lead actor is like working really hard, like everyone else kind of does, it's like for me, if like I'm screwing off as the director, it's like kind of gives people the ability to do that a little bit too, it's kind of a top down type of thing, and he really set that, he was so committed, and so it just he set the tone for the whole cast, and just amazing performances with Hunter and Lamar, who is in The Last of Us, and Sam and Aaron and Matt, and so it just, everyone that was a part of that film, the actors were really committed, and it was a great.
Did you say James?
Well, Sam Jaeger,
Sam, and the guy that I was talking about with you, from
James LeGros.
James
Yeah.
LeGros.
Yeah. So Sam's character's name is James. So that's what.
Oh,
when you
gotcha.
Said Sam, I was like, Sam. Yeah.
No, but
James is amazing, man, and he really crushed that role.
I mean, Point Break and The Drugstore Cowboy, and like so many of my favorite movies that he's in. He's always been this standout.
Yeah. Well, see, there's something for everyone. You might not be on the Wednesday vibe, but you're on the Drugstore Cowboy.
Completely, man.
Yeah.
Completely. When you're setting out to, you're a director now. Your mother's a director. Do you want? Are you attempting to? And you guys have different last names. You have your father's last names.
Yeah.
Right. So
not. Yeah.
Is that right?
No, totally. I was gonna make a bad joke.
No, okay.
Not by choice. Because I didn't actually choose that, but I love my dad's last name.
Okay.
I'm saying it was just it was given to me.
Yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah. You didn't have a say necessarily in that. Right. Are you? There's this phase where in life where I was like, I wanted to prove that I could do things beyond sort of like make it my own name, even with
Yeah.
the same last name kind of thing. And I know
Yeah,
there's
totally.
difference a little bit, but and then there's this part also that wants to carry on a legacy of excellence, you know.
Totally.
Like, how is that navigating for you?
Yeah.
With this, not, I won't call it the shadow of your mother's career or whatever,
Yeah,
but just
her
coming
looming shadow. Let me out.
Man, you're in on the joke. That's perfect attitude about it. But you know, what's that like? Where do you fall in that, you know, thing? I mean,
Yeah, I definitely think when I was kind of first starting, and I had a little bit of that, and you know, but it's like everyone can tell if you're like, I did it all on my own. It's like
like Chet Hanks.
Yeah. Like it's like you're not fooling anyone, you know. And I think it's like I don't think there's, you know, I think that we kind of have this thing in society where people are ashamed to be like from success, and
Right,
you know,
right.
it's like a I at this point, I mean, my relationship with my mom is so strong, and I like,
Shout out to her.
yeah, Amy Berg, shout out. And you know, I have no sense of like, I'm just so proud, you know. I'm proud to be able to be her son, and to so yeah, that doesn't enter my mind anymore.
That's cool.
Yeah, you know, and it's just she's such a amazing artist, and if I could ever achieve any of the things that she's achieved, look, there's cool chickens behind us. That would be, you know, that would just be, you know, it's just, yeah, so that doesn't enter.
That's cool.
And yeah, I mean, it's amazing to be able to do stuff together, you know.
I
So
bet.
yeah, we're yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Are you how do you, you know, with the score like this film? This film's outdoors. I imagine it's in the wilderness, it's in the desert.
Yeah.
There's, you know, there's that kind of music. There's like desert wilderness music, you know, historically in cinema. How do you decide, working with the composer, how to score this film, and how many of those traditional elements you go with, like a pan flute, you know, kind of thing?
Oh, totally.
Which are in there, and tastefully, you know, it's a
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
score. It's really, really well done, the whole thing.
Well, so Isaac Middleton and I, he's did the score, and he's an amazing composer, and this was the first film he scored, and using it. Whoa. Hey, buddy. That was cool.
A chicken
that was on
just
camera.
jumped. Yeah, it was. A chicken just jumped up onto the couch,
Oh my
like
God.
right next to Spencer's head.
Their feet are so cool, man.
Yeah, they're like reptiles, you know?
Yeah.
Prehistoric.
So
Isaac Middleton.
yeah, Isaac. So when we had our initial conversation, it was a little bit of and we talked to a lot of composers for this. Some people that had, you know, some really, really great credits and are fantastic composers. I was looking for something specific for this. There's something about this film that I view as very biblical, and this idea of being in the wilderness that is you come in as someone and you enter changed, you know. And
Right.
I also viewed the camps as there's something very Old Testament biblical about it. You look at like the kings of Israel back in the days of, they come in with good intentions and are corrupted and then are struck down, you know. And that, when I talked with James, I want you to view yourself as one of those kings that like maybe came into this with good intentions, and then evil came in, and like it's like you're fighting this conflict. So I wanted a very old Judaic score for this, Middle Eastern sounds, and that soundscape. And you know, there's not a ton of films that kind of get that. And I got put in touch with Isaac, and so you look at someone like PTA, who Johnny Greenwood's composed all his scores, and a lot of my favorite filmmakers, it's a musician in a rock band is their composer.
Right.
And I was talking to people, and I couldn't find someone that was just right for this film. And I reached out to my buddy in Nashville. I was like, hey man, like if you know anyone that isn't, because he's in the music scene in Nashville, it's just like a great musician, and you think I could even talk to, let me know. He put me in touch with this guy, Isaac, and me and Isaac vibed a lot. And I was like, dude, I told him, I was like, you have to literally make it impossible for me not to hire you, for me to hire you, because you're like, the people I'm talking to have a ton of credits, blah blah blah, you know. It's like you have, like, and I was like, and tried to do it in a humble way, you know, like, please make it impossible. He sent like 10 different scores within like 4 days, and just like two, and I was like too seen, you know. I'm like, man,
there's so many insane,
this guy's so
talented
good
people out there that are just, you'll never even hear of, you know? And like, in this case, I mean, working with him, you know, I don't know what his track record was before, but, you know, like, this makes it possible.
So Isaac is in it. So I forgot to mention this. He's in a great band in Nashville called New Translations, like
cool.
a up and coming rock band, and he's the guitarist in it. And he's an amazing composer. We had a great vibe. He composed my next film, Nichols, which will be coming out next year with Briarcliff Entertainment. But yeah, so he's an amazing composer, and we had a lot of fun with that soundscape. And I think that, like, we purposely pushed away from piano, and we pushed away from these sounds that kind of led to this world that we're in here, and we took it into this bigger, like, just that wilderness world, which is, you know,
it's wild, because in the film it doesn't, you know, there's a big reveal at a certain point in the film, but up until then, you really you keep it all ambiguous enough, like, what's going on here, enough to, I mean, to me, it was a shock, you know. And what was great is that I felt like I was tracking the movie very well, but you play human beings really well, or you tell the story really well, because there seems to be a little bit of all of these elements in people, just in general. And it kind of, in a certain way, it normalizes that, you know, the villain is not an isolated event. You know, totally. There's some, and you don't make it too obvious, like, what this big crescendo reveal is in the film. It's complex. The way that you told the story of him being in this position and being out there and trying to adjust, and what he's learning, and how he acclimates with the group and all that stuff. You know, I related to it a lot. I went to a rehab. That was a 3-month rehab in the wilderness, in the mountains. Now, we were staying indoors, and it wasn't like camping, but it was away from everything, and it was a very foreign experience, and you're having to learn. You know, you're the runt of the litter, basically. You know, and all that, being away from your family, being away from a life that you've established, that you feel like is only can only continue if you're there for it. Like, who am I if I'm not continuing that life back at home? You know, when you're young. Totally. Do you relate to that? Yeah,
definitely. What did you feel like? Did you feel at all when you got back that your life was actually out there for a moment? Like, did you have that same adjustment back to this world when you came back?
I mean, it's a good question, but I was like so hazy. My thing was drugs, and I'd gotten about a few months sober, and coming back, I think now looking back, for sure, it's all been one thing. It's all like, that was where I was. And my life is wherever I am. You know, it's not some other place happening without me. And I know that now. I know that then. I thought that there was, back home is where my life was happening without me. You know, it's very scary when you're young to be away from everything that you feel like you're building outside of your parents' vision for you. Like that world with you and your friends, or, you know?
Totally.
You know?
Well, there's so much of that we still are reliant on things in our life that, like, if they were taken away, you know, you'd be like, oh, that's my life, you know? Like, you lose a job, and you could be like, oh, you took away, you know, who am I now, you know? And it's like, I think that at a small scale, that idea of being able to go and be okay where you are, you know, is like something that I hope and I don't want it to sound like, hey, like you need to take this away, because there's a lot of these camps that are not good, you know.
Right.
But like maybe within that you can find that strength.
Absolutely.
You know,
it's not like a waste, even though it's hard to say, because everybody. Yeah,
I don't want to say that, because
Right.
there are people that are, like you. Things happen in your life that, man, people lose people.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
things happen that are unexpected. That it's like, but yeah, it's not a waste. It's like, and how do you find that takeaway? It's really hard, man.
Yeah, it is.
But if you can, like, and you're unstoppable in a way. Yeah. But
I think it just takes being listened to. Like, if you incur pain in this life from loss or anything like that, if you get some solid time with somebody to actually listen to really what's going on, and it doesn't have to be many people. It could be one trusted person, where at least one person is listening to you about what's really going on, not what's presentable in a PR like thing, or like what, a press release. Like not that, just the real thing of what's going on. And if with time there's real listening, and not like what most friendship is these days, it's like everybody's talking at the same time, and everybody wants to be the person who's talking, and we don't really get to a resolve that way, because everybody's desperate to be listened to.
Totally. Sorry, what did you say? I was thinking about what I was going to say about
Exactly. That's a poignant joke.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can tell when.
Totally. Even when people seem like they're listening, they're in their head, or usually somebody starts talking and then it triggers, oh yeah, that reminds me, and somebody else starts to talk, and then nothing gets resolved. Totally. So in this case, I feel like healing is possible for loss, but really what it takes is some solid listening, and people don't feel like they're heard.
Yeah.
And they just walk around with that, and it festers, and it manufactures into all kinds of mental health disorders.
Totally. People are going through stuff in this world, man. I was just coming up here. I stopped at a little thrift shop, and there was a poster on this little bulletin board of a memorial for a kid. And I was looking at it, and the owner of the shop now, I was like, what's up with this kid? Just like, she was like, yeah, it's my grandson. He just died,
Wow.
And she said she raised him. I was just like, man, it's like humbling too, though, like your things in this world. And you think about, like, right now we're talking about something that making a movie about, and hopefully there's some light that gets brought to it, and there's kids out there right now, there's like hundreds of thousands of kids that are in these camps and these facilities, and a lot of them are really struggling, and a lot of them are going to have a really tough go of it afterwards. And
the interesting process about it, to me, about this whole the math surrounding sending your kid to one of these camps, is that there's a certain lacking. At least I'm a parent, and if I had to, whenever my kids get into any sort of area where they don't know how to handle it, and then they make let's say a wrong choice, and there's a reaction, or there's something that happens, and it's not a positive thing, I look at it as a failure on my part. And that's a mindset. That's just a mindset, and that's kind of how I've been since they were young, is like I wanted to be more of an ambassador rather than a father. Like I want to like not tell them who they are, but like ambassador them to where they can best find who they are and what their natural sensitivity is. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I've kind of hung back, and then but when they get into trouble or something like that, or difficult areas, I always think about myself. I go like, what have I contributed to this, And it seems like with the camp send your kid away model, there's this weird math that happens where like kids who their sensitivities perhaps and their particular way of where they would have learned the best when they were young about certain things, responsibility and emotional intelligence, all that stuff, parents didn't have the resources to do that within themselves. So then the kid gets into trouble, but then you got to send them away. But it's in my case, the failure would be on my part. you know?
Yeah.
So then you send them away, and then they have to go learn about themselves, and hopefully it works out. And then they come back, and they're kind of like, you know, in this, like, I got to work my way back into the family thing. But,
Yeah.
you know, do you see the math is off here?
Totally,
Like, it's
totally.
like,
And I think that there's it's a broad spectrum, you
Sure,
know, and I
sure.
think that there's a lot of parents that are probably at like kind of admitting a sense of failure, you
Right.
know. It's like,
Thank God.
you know, and
because there's a generation before, I mean, there's many generations
Yeah.
who did not admit that they had any part
Yeah.
in this, and they blamed the youth.
Yeah, and I think that there's so yeah, I think there's a definite, you know, I don't want to put the onus on the parents or the kids. You know, it's a tough. I think that people have their reasons, and you know, and it doesn't mean that they're right. You
No,
know?
and don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
the parents in this case, I don't think that there are any isolated events in life, and so the parents are children themselves of parents who didn't show them, and so
Yeah.
the chain just goes on and on.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if
Totally.
we were all in on the joke about that, you know?
I guess the question is like with any industry, there's gonna be there's a level of corruption, there's a level of deceit, there's a level of like, we live in a country that it's like there's a level of sacrifice we make for something, you know,
Right,
like
right.
we've got a judicial system, and like people get put away for things that they didn't do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what's the answer to that? Like, the answer probably isn't like not to get into things. It's probably not to like get rid of all justice system. You know, It's
Right,
like,
right.
I guess the question for this is like, is this an industry worth having if it means like there's gonna be like a level of like a percentage of kids that are like shouldn't be there and are abused and blah blah blah. And I think for me the answer is no. You know, like, I think this industry, it's like, you know, it's like a lot of people are like, you know, a lot of parents are, for lack of a better word, hoodwinked into sending their kids to
Right.
these places. You know, it's
Results.
like,
They
yeah,
say
they've
got
they've
good
been
results.
tricked. They've
Right.
been duped into like certain things, you know. And it's like, and then there's also a level of like, you know, there's probably there's some camps that are good, you know. So I don't know. I mean,
I think maybe, you know, it would be really nice if we could just start listening to kids. Now,
Yeah.
I don't mean,
yeah,
you know, I don't mean the parents necessarily, because the parents are going to be the last people at times that the kids want to really share what's going on with,
yeah,
because parents can be intimidating, just,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't even mean like that they're ruling with an iron fist intimidating, but just parents are intimidating, the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily the people unless you feel safe talking about these things. So historically, parents can say like, well, we tried talking about it, you know, kind of thing, but it's like, you're not the person. So we got to find people who can really universally listen to kids who are having a difficult time, and are the right person, where they're not like you know, talking about right and wrong so much, but just as like seeing all sides of the story.
yeah, totally.
You know?
Maybe I should come to you, Jaymee.
Well, you know, it's kind of, I mean, what I've been doing,
Yeah,
but I'm not I don't have any like I don't have a objective to just work in that sector in particular. I'm in all sectors,
Yeah,
wherever
yeah.
somebody needs to be listened to. I am
Yeah.
kind of the guy.
yeah. I think
myself
that
in that
I think that for this industry, there aren't many industries like this that there is the issues in it that there isn't oversight. You know, like in these other industries that are like fraught with, you know, where there's corruption, and there's you hear about like the kind of black sheep scenario of like black sheep's not the right word, but like, you know, the this happened in this place, you know, there's a response. And it doesn't seem like there's a ton of these responses, because they're more like there's just not the oversight, you know.
Right.
So
No, it's true. It's true. It's a
yeah.
broken model, and you're saying like,
Yeah.
as far as your opinion goes, like, we should move on from this model in
I
particular?
mean, I guess that's the, I mean, I'm going to be biased, and,
Right.
and like I said, I do know of these, like, there's more, these, I know of some people that run some that are like 1 week, and
Yeah.
it's 1 week,
Yeah,
and you
right.
get out of it at 1 week, or,
Yeah.
whatever, that could be a different time period, but it's like specific, and there's like a set of, goals and things. I think that there's a lot of these programs that are very vague, and they lead to like you're kind of putting the trust in someone to make these decisions, and I think
Yeah.
that's the issue.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
it's like these, the idea of sending your kid to something where there's like this guy or girl that's like making the decisions, that's like, oh, they're not ready, they're not, it's like, man, that's a lot of trust
That's
to
a
put
lot
in
of power.
someone.
That's right.
I think, and it's like there's not a set of things. It's like if you went out there and it's like you're gonna be there for however long, you're gonna learn how to do this, and this. You're gonna have this is the structure. It's like, and you agree to that.
Yeah.
Then it's like maybe that's something that's a little more can be more understood. But I feel really, really bad for a lot of these kids that get stuck in this system, and I'm sure there's a lot of, well-intentioned parents that have been duped. I know that there's also kids that have almost been forgotten in
Right.
these programs,
Yeah.
and it's like, they call it therapeutic boarding school. Man, how long are you going to send your kid to like a therapy boarding school?
Right.
That's like for something they did, for a crime they didn't commit. It's not no crime,
Somebody
it's
else
like
is
a
raising your
decision.
kids.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that long term.
And kids go to boarding school, but like therapeutic boarding school, it's like I almost
Right.
like feel bad that they call it a boarding
I
school.
know,
It's like,
right.
hey, we're gonna put our kid in voluntary prison,
Yeah.
but it's not their choice.
Right.
Linking
a healing with limitation in that in the mind of the kid forever.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like these two words are combined, you're going to think about therapy negatively.
Yeah, totally. And we, these programs, we'd be in these wilderness programs, and the one I was in, if you turned you're 100 miles into the desert away from anything, and if you turn to 18, they can't legally keep you,
Right.
but they wouldn't take you home.
Huh.
So if you turned 18 out there, yeah, you can go, but you got to find your way back.
Wow.
You're 100 miles from anything,
Right.
So like there are people that like were stuck out there for months after being 18,
Yeah.
and it's that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like how is, like, talk about like lack of, like, if you are against your will and it's not criminally like implicated,
Yeah.
you're taken somewhere
Yeah.
as a juvenile and you
Yeah.
turn 18, like, shouldn't they have to take you back at least to a bus stop?
Yeah. And this is how we're wiring our mind toward what's safe in this world at a young age, like in the adolescence there, in
Yeah.
the teen years.
Yeah.
We're like hardwiring some parts of our mind to question things, or look at like if somebody's being kind and smiling, but then they're doing something evil behind you. You don't
Yeah.
know, your navigation system and inner compass is off the rest of your
Yeah.
life with that kind of confusion.
Yeah, totally. Love
What's
them.
it like for you as a director, young director? How old are you?
28.
28. How is it for you, like, guiding stars, actors who have been working for, like, people older than you? How do you? Is there any difficulty in your mind of like a hurdle to get over being young and telling people how to do? What's it like being young directing people who are older than you?
Well, I mean, I thankfully haven't had any experiences that I've really, I haven't dealt with any jerks,
That's great.
I worked with Rob Riggle on Nichols.
Oh, nice.
And, he's the star of that film, and I don't think he knew my first name from my last name before we got into that. He saw The Wilderness. I think he was excited about that, but
Dude, Rob Riggle was he a Marine?
Yeah, he's a Marine.
Yeah, I mean, he's like served the country and then came back and had this whole career as a comedian and actor.
Yeah, he's an amazing actor.
I bet, and he's the lead in that, huh?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So he's I'm very excited for people to see that, because he's playing a super a serious role, and he freaking
Wow.
crushes it. And he, I think that comedy background he has really he really brought it to this serious role where his timing was so good. And as a comedian, I think it's all about that punch. And he was able to deliver these really subtle chicken again. Back to Wriggle.
That's why they call it chicken.
Yeah. He was able to deliver these really subtle emotional shifts without overacting. And man, Rob is a great actor. I think and I think when I talked to him, I wouldn't be shy to say this. I think I had to earn his trust a little bit. I think as a director, and I wouldn't say it's coming from him, I do think though there's an element of people on set that are aware of what you're doing, and it's like if you're full of it, like it's very obvious because you're talking a lot as a director. If you're giving notes to the actor that don't mean anything, everyone's gonna know. If you're just talking to talk, I think as a director, one of the biggest instincts you have to fight is talking just to talk. It's like giving if an actor crushes it, like giving a note just because you're like, I'm the director, I gotta say something now, everyone's looking at me. I just like cut, I've gotta say something,
That's what I call cocaine. Talking just to talk.
yeah. Except this, it doesn't get in your gums as much, This is something that it's more, it's I think in your head a little bit, and it's if you actors will very quickly can tell if you're full of it. DPs will, ADs will, the whole team, they've all been there. As a director, you also got to remember everyone on that set is on more sets than you. It takes a long time to get a film made and to direct.
Right.
Everyone on that set is going shoot to shoot. Even actors shoot to shoot. It's like, so they're working with a lot of directors. So, and I think that
sounds like you give them respect of knowing that they are professionals and they're doing this, so you're not trying to come in as a unique authority in their life momentarily.
Oh yeah, you're not their father. It's like we're all playing a role in this thing, and we're all a part of it. And I've been, I PA'd for a while, and so I worked on a lot of sets. And when a director is
that's production assistant. For
yeah. When a director is just saying stuff to say it, and I think you gotta. I think that's the working with more experienced people. That's a hurdle that you have to clear. And it's like saying that they're just automatically going to respect you is just a lie. Not going to respect you or if they do, they can lose it very quickly. If you're like, do this, they're like, why? And if you don't know what you're saying, if you don't have an answer to that, like as a, if you're trying to get into directing, be prepared for an actor to question you, and more power to them. If you give them a note, do it like this, like they might need an explanation of why would this character do it like that? And if you don't have that answer, like they're gonna very quickly be like, okay, I'm on my own on this one. So I think as a director, you have to have your vision, and then you also have to be supportive, so
yeah, that sounds great. That sounds right. I want to ask about, your in the episode with Amy, we were talking about your father, and she mentioned that he passed.
Yeah.
And that was just a few years ago, right?
It was 2021.
2021, and
over 4 years ago.
How do you deal with loss?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people, and even the uniqueness of your experience?
Is your father alive?
He is.
Oh man, I just almost said something that my dad said. My dad will always say, "More power to you." So I don't know why that almost came through me.
That's cool.
I think I saw. Funny enough, just a couple days ago, I saw a Steve Harvey clip, and he was talking about when your dad dies, it's the only only man in your life that wants you to be better than them. And I sent it to a buddy of mine whose dad also died, and that stuck with me. You know, I think that my dad, I don't think I know, my dad wanted me to, even if it was at the behest of him, to be as accomplished. That doesn't mean, you know, financially. It just means as a person, you know, wanted. There's no, you know, with your dad, there's no sense of competitiveness. You know, maybe from the son there is, but you know, I think going father to son, it's like, you know, ideally that isn't there, you know, and so
Ideally.
yeah, totally, ideally, and you know, people. I don't want to minimize people that, you know,
There's a lot of dads who don't want to give up the role, and so they're always kind of keeping you a little under. Like they don't want you to know too much because then they would be obscured, and then it's like, then who are they? Like what you were talking about earlier about like if I'm not my job, like who am I? The identity loss of kids not needing to go to their parents so much is something that a lot of parents try to suppress and keep down and not like, you know. So I've seen that.
I'm sure. I can't relate to that with my dad though.
That's great.
I had an amazing dad, and he was my best friend for a long time.
Wow.
And yeah, you know, it's still certain things I'm like, man, you know, he'd never. But I will say that I think the chicken again.
Sorry.
Are you channeling my dad? I think that I was a little bit of a knucklehead. Another thing my dad said. Wow, it's just coming through me right now.
That's cool.
Before my dad died, and when he did, I think it made me into more of a man, and I think that this is something that I'll say. The last thing a dad can do for his son is die.
Wow.
Mind blown, right?
Totally.
Maybe.
Final act.
It's the last thing you can do, and I'm not saying that it's like a great thing, but it's like, you know, I think that as a son losing your dad, you know, that will prepare you for life a little bit.
Totally,
you know?
I bet.
Like
if you let it.
Yeah, and I think I did. You know, I'd say that my dad dying is the most painful thing I've ever been through, and also is the reason why I've had some opportunities in my life since then.
Wow, man,
so,
far out. Like he's helping out from beyond kind of thing? Not to get too woo, but yeah.
For sure.
Nice.
For sure. And when, you know, I had a beautiful thing with my dad that the things that anything that I held against him, the second he died was gone.
Wow, beautiful.
So, like instantly.
That is great to hear.
And it brought, you know, it moved me in a different way in my life. So, brought me more towards faith and towards connection, and got me to a place where I cherished my family more, and I think all the greatest parts of him, I can access in myself now.
So, you want to talk about your spiritual side? I mean, you know, I'd love. This is a show that it gets covered a lot on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool.
This is more like a spiritually based show. Even though I talk to like my favorite people or people who are I've come across their work and all that, but it's mainly about like what each individual's spiritual connection is.
Yeah, so I'm a staunch atheist.
So you're just being ironic by wearing the cross?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so I'm a follower of Jesus, and he saved my life. And
wow, how long ago?
So I got baptized first in college.
Oh wow. Was this on your own?
A neighbor of mine in Detroit, we connected in this weird way. We bumped into each other in the hallway, and we both were at very weird times in our life, and we became friends. And he's from a Christian background. I'm from a Jewish background, and my mom's Jewish, my dad's Christian.
Right.
I grew up not in around a ton of faith. I was culturally in both worlds.
Right.
And I got my eyes opened, and I started to read scripture and
New Testament or Old Testament, the whole thing?
Whole thing. But I think I wrestled with it with like, wait, I identify as Jewish, and now I'm Christian. What does that mean, you know? And then
That sounds like Christ's predicament.
totally,
Wasn't he?
Man, totally. And then I think so the day I got baptized, me and a buddy of mine, a different buddy, we were driving from Detroit to the sand dunes, Silver Lake sand dunes in Michigan, and he was going a couple miles per hour over the speed limit and got pulled over, and these cops, man, they targeted me in the passenger seat, and they now we're getting real deep. I got arrested that day for having a gram of weed on me, and they told me they wouldn't arrest me, and then they did, and my life went like I had been on this year-long search for God, and really? I kind of got taken away.
Wow!
Man, I got put on probation, and for a gram of weed, and had to, and like really isolated, and it really affected me, and I kind of, I consider I kept a connection with God in my own way, and but then I started to identify with my Jewish roots more.
Wow.
And still with God, it's the same God, and then I reconnected with Jesus as a Jew.
Yeah.
Like
nice.
like he is, and that was a couple years ago. That really, when I was in the wilderness, that really, oh my gosh, man, I felt so connected to God, and I followed him on that whole journey.
Awesome,
and,
man.
There's so many miracles I felt that happened, and the term miracle is kind of interesting. It's like, who are you to say a miracle, in your life? It's
as
like,
it appears to you. I mean,
yeah,
I think,
but man, with that film, I just like
synchronicities kind of thing, like where
where we just we lost the money for the film, and I just went to the church in this small town and just prayed, and just I was out there for 4 months, and 2 weeks before the shoot,
the money.
We lost half the money.
Holy shit!
It got pulled out, and
so then you went to a church to pray.
Yeah, and while I was there, I got a phone call. It was a pretty crazy moment. Yeah, and it was I think we're gonna be good. It's all right, God,
nice.
I'll give you this one.
I mean, that'll fucking do it.
We then right before the shoot, the SAG strike happened, and there was a week period before the prep week. And that week period was when they started accepting waivers or granting waivers to shoot.
Oh,
and
really?
Monday comes by. It's we were in connection with them. We're going to get it on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday comes. Wednesday comes. Thursday. If we don't get it by Friday, we have to cancel our prep week, which is going to cost us about $50,000.
Wow.
And if we don't get it it's just that's how independent films get ruined, man. Yeah. It's
$50,000, that was the whole budget of your first film.
Yeah, and it's that you can't make that up, Right. I mean, so
wow.
Friday at about 4:57 p.m. we got that freaking thing, and there's so many
this movie was supposed to be made. I mean, it was counted out.
Yeah,
a couple times at least, and I mean, you can't argue with it.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be out.
Do you want to hear? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
okay.
Please say it.
Well, then we I'm actually going to leave out the thing I was just going to say.
Yeah.
We'll move on. I'll tell you about it later. But
okay, great.
There's some. So yeah, my spiritual.
People love that, by the way. They love that. They're like, oh, what is it?
No,
it's great. No, it's good. Keep them in suspense.
Yeah, my spiritual side has been. I got rebaptized a couple years ago, and yeah, man. So I rely on my connection with God, and when my dad died, I went and collected his stuff, and I got his wallet, and I opened the wallet, and out of it fell a crucifix.
Whoa.
And yeah, so
dude.
I've had some moments in my life that have brought me back to God, and I feel like for me I've gone really astray. I think in this life that we're living in, we without having something to look to keep us in check, it's easy to become morally corrupt.
Right.
You know,
That's right.
And I think there's a lot of that, and I think in our world right now there's a lot of lack of accountability.
Yeah, and humility. Both of those
humility,
things.
for sure. So, you know, you can get away with things in this world, you know, but it's like, man, those things will break you apart, man.
Yeah.
And if you justify it, and if you have who's to hold you accountable, and who's for treating someone wrong, if there's no good and there's no evil, then what does it matter?
You give me a lot of hope for, you know, I think you might even give people a lot of hope for having a late stage connection with Christ.
Yeah.
And coming from the background you come from too, where, you know, you were pissed about being sent away to the camp originally, and like, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like you come from there's a rebellious or there was a difficult period of your life. And so you could look at people in power as being suspicious, but here you're able to, at a certain point in life, not too far beyond that, maybe 10 years or something, you're able to have this connection. And how, you know, I would say you give hope, because listening to you throughout this whole conversation to me has been like listening to a very sane person who seems like they care a lot. You know, like you care about your production, you care about everybody involved, you're not trying to push, like I don't hear ego. You know, like you have a right-sized ego. You know, we all need ego. It's that thing I always say that keeps us like 8 feet from the car in front of us on the freeway, you know, or whatever. Like that's ego also, not just egocentrism or low self-esteem or whatever. This is right-sized. So hearing that you found Christ and that you could find a church even where oh wow, the power went out.
Camera's got to still be rolling, right?
Yeah, but you know what? And the audio, I think, wow, that's a trip. I wonder, does
the devil felt us.
Does it
getting
save?
close.
I know. That's what I'm curious about. When the power goes out, does it save? Well, these are on.
Are they still on?
The lavs are recording, and then that thing's independent. So we just lost light. That's a trip. Wow, we were just getting into.
I think these are connected to. I think this microphone is connected to that, unless this is.
No, this is independent. This is mine and this, and so we lost this. It might be recorded, but. Hey, what do you think? Do you think the lav is still going?
Power just went out.
I know you think the lav is going though in the camera.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just make sure.
Yeah. We
Isn't
lost
that
power,
crazy?
everybody. Yeah, that was wild. And right at the end here.
Is it worth me?
And I was like saying something really good about.
I hope we're still going.
Yeah, we are.
Plug into the generator.
Yeah, maybe. I would love to see if it stayed, but you know, we'll finish as long as this is still going and this is recording. We'll just.
Is the
Carry it
audio
out.
recording?
Yeah.
Well, not on those, but I've tapped just a little.
So we
Thanks.
didn't lose any audio.
These are on, right?
These are on. These
Yeah.
are not.
Right. Yeah. Great. We didn't lose audio. We lost this.
Cool.
Yeah, but we can.
So
continue.
we should just keep going. You think?
Yeah, we should keep going.
That was weird. So we'll see everything, right? We'll
Yeah.
keep going to. Okay.
Yeah, we'll
So
see everything.
circling. Did you have a point? Do you remember your point?
Yeah, I was
Or-
just
okay.
saying, like, for you to be the person that you could find, you know, with finding as much abuse of power as you found in the wilderness systems,
Yeah.
that you are the person that's choosing a Christian faith. I imagine that would give people hope that you could be a good person who's discerning, who questions power and all that stuff,
totally.
and can find a relationship with the church at a certain point in your life.
Yeah, so I do go. I have a relationship, and yeah, man. I mean, if you want to look at abuse of power, go no further than the Bible. You know, it's like
Right.
there's so much of that, and God doesn't doesn't condone it, you
Right.
know, and people are constantly that are propped up from faith,
Yeah.
blowing that goodwill
Yeah.
and being humbled. You know, you read the Old Testament, that's what we're talking about with like me and Sam, what we talk about with the kings of Israel that were then abusing their power and like being smashed, you know,
Right.
and God handed them to their enemies, and then they have to work their way back out of it, you know.
Right.
But yeah, man, I mean, I think I definitely it's been a thing in my life that's just, it's been the greatest thing in my life.
Dude,
So
awesome.
yeah.
And it sounds like a lot of it came through your like the period of time of your father's passing. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know,
totally.
strengthened throughout that, and
Totally. So
you
I
feel his hand in that because of the crucifix falling out of the wallet.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
100%.
nice. And your last name's King, you know, so
My
Jesus was that.
King of Kings. My dad's name is the greatest Bible name ever, David King.
Oh my God, totally.
King David.
Totally. All right, I want to submit mine. Mine's Christopher Carpenter.
Okay, there you go.
And my middle name's James, so I get to be JC.
Okay, and you're
But
the
no,
carpenter.
I'm not trying to be better
You're
than
the
your dad's name.
carpenter.
Yeah.
No, it's funny.
But it's a super Christy name.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
bearer
totally.
of Christ, and he was a carpenter. And
Yes, of
all that,
course.
you know. Hey, man, really wonderful talking. Really
been
wonderful
amazing.
meeting you.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. And I look forward to all the conversations actually that we can have off mic, you know.
Definitely.
Also embellishing on some of these subjects. But I'm
Yeah,
really
man.
a fan of your work, and I think that I had this feeling while I was doing this, the prep leading up to this in the last few days. I was going like, this feels like one of those where it's going to be like, I got him while, you know, before everybody knew about him, you know. That's my feeling.
If that happens,
Mm-hmm.
I will never stop coming on your show. And
Right
if
on.
it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
you better let me back on because I'm going to need it, man.
Well said,
Hey,
man.
last thing I'll say, God bless you, Jaymee.
God bless you. Thanks, brother.
All right, thank
All right,
you,
nice
man.
to meet you. All right, cool.